Can you picture it? Those were the very last words my father spoke to me before he shoved me out into an October storm and slammed the door shut behind me. Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter. I was 15. No coat. No phone. No money. Just my school backpack with algebra homework still inside and rain already soaking through my sneakers. 3 hours later the police called him. When they told him what happened, the color drained from his face like someone pulled a plug. But by then, it was far too late. My name is Cher Walls. I'm 28 now, sitting in my Boston apartment, watching rain streak down the glass. There's a letter on the kitchen table, shaky handwriting on thin nursing home stationery. After 13 years of total silence, my father wants to see me. He's dying. He's sorry. Funny thing about rain, it always drags me straight back to that night. October 14, 2011. I came home from school like any other Tuesday, backpack slung over one shoulder, still buzzing from the algebra test I'd crushed. I was thinking about dinner, homework, the band poster I planned to buy with my birthday cash. Normal 15-year-old thoughts. I had no idea that in less than 2 hours I'd be walking alone through a freezing downpour, wondering whether I'd live to see morning. The second I stepped through the front door, I felt it, something was terribly wrong. Dad stood in the living room like a volcano ready to erupt. Face the color of raw steak. Hands trembling. One fist clenched around a thick wad of cash, the other holding empty pill bottles. Behind him was my sister Karen, 19, 4 years older, wearing the perfect mask of the heartbroken big sister who'd just uncovered something awful about her baby sibling. But I saw her eyes. For one split second, the mask slipped. Satisfaction. My stepmother Jolene hovered in the kitchen doorway, arms folded, lips sealed. Silence was her weapon of choice. Dad didn't even let me drop my backpack. He exploded. Screamed that I'd been stealing from his wallet for months. That I was buying pills, hiding them in my room. That Karen had found proof. Cash stuffed in my dresser, pill bottles in my closet, text messages with drug dealers. I tried to speak. Tried to say I'd never touched his money, never seen those pills, didn't even understand what he was talking about. The words died in my throat. He wasn't listening. His mind was already locked. Karen had spent the whole day feeding him lies so sweet they tasted like truth. She stood there looking devastated, telling him how hard she'd tried to help me, how she couldn't watch her little sister ruin herself any longer. It was an Oscar-worthy performance. And he swallowed every word. He grabbed my arm, hard enough to bruise, dragged me to the front door, scooped up my backpack, and hurled it into my chest so violently I stumbled backward. Then he threw the door open. Rain poured in sheets. Thunder growled in the distance. The temperature had plunged 15 degrees since morning. He looked straight into my eyes and said it again. Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter. He pushed me onto the porch. The door slammed. The deadbolt clicked. Just like that, at 15, I was homeless. I stood there maybe 5 minutes, paralyzed. Not from the cold though it was coming fast but from pure shock. I kept waiting for the door to reopen. For someone to yell it was all a mistake. No one came. My phone sat on my bedroom desk. I hadn't been allowed to grab anything except what I was already holding. My backpack contained textbooks, a half-eaten granola bar, and nothing useful for surviving a night outside. No jacket, no money, no quarters for a payphone, even if I could find one. Straight a student, zero survival skills. So I started walking. No real plan, just autopilot toward the only safe place left, Grandma Dorothy's house. 7 miles away, my mom's mom, the one person who'd always made me feel like I mattered. 7 miles in a car is nothing. 7 miles on foot through freezing rain in canvas sneakers with no coat might as well be 70. Route 9 stretched ahead, dark, slick, merciless. Cars hissed past without slowing. I was invisible. After 1 mile my clothes were soaked to the skin. After 2 I couldn't feel my fingers. After 3 my teeth chattered so violently I thought they'd shatter. But I kept going. What choice did I have? Turn back and beg the man who'd already condemned me? No, only forward. One frozen step at a time. Hypothermia is sneaky. You don't notice until your body starts shutting down and your mind whispers that sitting down for just 1 minute is the smartest idea in the world. I made it 4 miles. Saw a mailbox up ahead. Thought, just lean there. Catch my breath. Then keep going. Grandma's house was only 3 miles more. I could do it. My knees buckled before I reached the box. Gravel rushed up. Everything went black. 3 hours after he threw his daughter into a storm, Dad's phone rang. Officer Daniels, County Police. Cold. Professional. There'd been an incident. His daughter was found unconscious on Route 9. Hypothermia. En route to County General. One more thing, sir. Child Protective Services has been notified. A caseworker is already at the hospital. We have questions about why a 15-year-old was walking alone in a dangerous storm with no coat and no phone. We need you to come down, and bring your evidence. Dad's face went white as bone. Hospital staff told me later he looked like a man watching his entire life collapse in slow motion. Karen was standing right beside him when the call came. For the first time, her perfect mask cracked, just a flicker. But it was enough, because the woman who found me wasn't some random driver. Her name was Gloria Hensley. 35 years with Child Protective Services. She knew exactly what she was looking at. A soaked, unconscious teenager with no coat, no phone, and no one searching for her. She wasn't about to let it go. Dad thought he was solving a problem that night. Cutting out the bad apple. Protecting his family. What he really did was light a fuse. And he had no idea how big the explosion would be. If you're hooked on the story, hit subscribe and drop in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I read every single one. Thank you for being here. To really understand why my sister did what she did, we have to go back to the beginning, when everything first started to fracture. My mom, Patricia, died in 2006. Cancer. I was 10. Karen was 14. One day we had a mom who made Sunday pancakes and braided my hair for school pictures. The next day we stood beside a hospital bed watching the monitors slow, then stop. Dad didn't cope. He imploded. Work. Home. Recliner. Stare at the wall. The house could have burned down, he wouldn't have noticed. So Karen stepped up. At 14 she became the cook, the permission slip signer, the one who made sure I got to school. Dad praised her constantly. What would I do without you, Karen? You're the glue, Karen. He never once asked how she was grieving. He just expected her to carry everything. What he never saw, what he refused to see, was that Karen wasn't just stepping up. She was building an empire. And in her empire, I was the one who needed to stay small. It started tiny. Homework vanishing before it was due. Field trip slips that never reached teachers. Favorite shirts shrinking in the wash. Birthday invitations my friends never received. She'd go to my teachers with that sad, responsible face, explaining how I was struggling after mom died. Everyone believed her. She was so mature, so caring. I tried telling Dad once. He looked at me like I was crazy. You're just jealous of your sister. Be grateful. After that, I learned to stay quiet. 2 years after Mom died, Dad remarried. Jolene tried at first, smiles, casseroles. Karen called her, Mom, immediately. Strategic. I couldn't. My real mom hadn't even been gone that long. That small rebellion cost me everything. Jolene and Karen formed their own alliance. I was the outsider in my own house. By 15 the roles were set in stone. Karen, the golden child. Me, the troubled one who couldn't get it together. Then came the money. Mom had left trust funds. $45,000 each, available at 18. A safety net from a mother who knew she wouldn't be here. Karen got hers in 2009. Gone in 11 months, sports car, designer clothes, gifts for her boyfriend Trent, a smooth-talking guy with big ideas and zero real income. By the time they kicked me out, Karen was broke. Trent kept promising the next big score. My $45,000 sat there, untouchable until 2014. Unless something happened to me first. The trust had a clause. If either daughter was declared incompetent or institutionalized before 21, the money would be managed by a court-appointed guardian. Karen and Trent saw the loophole. If I got locked up for drugs, say, if Dad found cash, pills, and dealer texts in my room, then a responsible older sister could step in and manage my trust fund. $45,000. That's what my life was worth to my sister. The week before she ruined me, she set it in motion. ATM withdrawals from Dad's account, she knew the PIN. Trent's empty pill bottles saved. Burner phone bought and loaded with fake texts. On the morning of October 14th, while I ate breakfast and thought about my algebra test, Karen slipped into my room and planted the evidence. Then she went to Dad in tears. He believed every word. Why wouldn't he? She'd spent 9 years being perfect. I'd spent 9 years being painted as the problem, before I even knew the portrait existed. When I walked through that door after school, my trial was already over. Verdict: guilty. Sentence: exile. That's how I ended up on Route 9 in the October rain, walking toward Grandma's house like it was the last light on earth. But Karen made one mistake. She didn't count on Gloria Hensley. I don't remember collapsing, just gravel biting my palms, then darkness. What I remember is waking up. Fluorescent lights. Antiseptic smell. A scratchy blanket tucked around me like I was something precious. I hadn't felt precious in years. A woman sat beside my bed. Silver hair in a neat bun. Reading glasses. Closed paperback in her lap. She looked like the grandma who bakes cookies. But her eyes were sharp as knives. Gloria Hensley, 67, 35 years with CPS. Driving home from book club, her headlights caught me. She slammed on the brakes, pulled an emergency blanket from her trunk, old habit, wrapped me up, called 911, and stayed until the ambulance came. She followed us to the hospital. When I woke 4 hours later, she was still there. She handed me terrible hospital coffee. "This is awful," she said, "but it's warm." I laughed, actually laughed. She smiled that gentle, knowing smile. There she is. Now tell me why a 15-year-old was walking Route 9 in a storm with no coat and no phone. So I told her everything. The accusations. The planted evidence. Years of Karen's sabotage. Gloria listened without interrupting, without doubting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long beat. Then she said the 7 words that changed my life. "I believe you, and I'm going to help you prove it." While I was unconscious, the hospital called police. Police called Dad. He and Karen arrived around 10:15 p.m. I was awake by then, sitting up, Gloria beside me, plus CPS worker Maria Santos and a uniformed officer. Not the welcome party they expected. Dad looked shaken, annoyed, confused, like this was an inconvenience. Karen looked nervous for the first time in her life. They thought they'd find a scared girl ready to confess and beg to come home. Instead they walked into a room full of professionals asking very sharp questions. Then Grandma Dorothy arrived, 5'2" of pure fury. Silver hair, sensible heels clicking like gunshots down the hallway. She swept in like a hurricane, planted herself between me and Dad. "That's my granddaughter," she announced. "What has this fool done now?" Dad tried to explain. Dorothy cut him off after 30 seconds. "Raymond, I've known you 15 years. This might be the dumbest thing you've ever done. You threw a child into a storm based on what? Magic pills. Magic cash. Did you even ask her side?" He opened his mouth. Closed it. Dorothy nodded. "That's what I thought. That night Grandma went to war. She demanded an emergency custody hearing, right then, nearly midnight. Called a family judge who owed her a favor. By 12:30 a.m., I had a new home. Temporary guardianship granted to Dorothy Reeves. Dad ordered no contact until full investigation. CPS would look at everything. As we left, Dad tried to reach for me. Dorothy stepped in without slowing. "You don't get to touch her. You don't get to talk to her. You had your chance. You threw it into a storm. We're leaving." She tucked me into her ancient Buick, cranked the heat, wrapped me in another blanket. I looked at her through tears. "Grandma, I don't even have clean clothes. I don't have anything." She squeezed my hand. "Honey, you have me. And I have a Target card. Tomorrow we shop. Tonight you eat soup and sleep in a bed where no one will ever throw you out again." That was night 1 of my real life. 2 weeks later Maria Santos called Grandma. "You might want to sit down. The timeline doesn't add up. And the security footage tells a very different story." Karen's perfect plan was unraveling. The cash, $800 withdrawn that same afternoon, at 2:47 p.m. ATM camera showed Karen. Same jacket, same ponytail, Same dented white sedan in the background. I was in chemistry class, attendance logged, teacher remembered my question about covalent bonds. Airtight alibi. The pills. Trent's prescription. He reported them, stolen, 3 days after I was kicked out. Convenient. The burner phone. Bought 4 days earlier, convenience store camera caught Karen, car visible in the frame. And the deeper they dug. 2 years of forged checks. Nearly $18,000 funneled to Trent's scams. Karen wasn't just framing me. She'd been stealing from Dad for years. She needed me gone before anyone noticed. Grandma hired family law legend Leonard Vance. He filed for permanent guardianship and sued Karen for everything he could stick. My trust fund got extra protection. Living with Grandma was like learning to breathe again. Warm house. Real meals. Real friends. Counseling. Dinner at 6 sharp. Chaos could wait until after the meatloaf. Meanwhile Dad's world collapsed. CPS microscope. Jolene sleeping in the guest room. Karen furious, blaming everyone but herself. Then, 1 month before the court date, Trent got arrested in Nevada. $400,000 investment scam. Faced 15 years. He flipped immediately. 12-page confession. Everything was Karen's idea. The thefts. The frame job. The plan to get my trust fund. She called me, a nobody who wouldn't fight back. She was wrong. March 2012. Family court. I walked in feeling 15 again, small, scared. Grandma squeezed my hand. Gloria was there in the gallery. Leonard nodded calmly. What was supposed to be a simple guardianship hearing became a criminal reckoning. ATM footage. School records. Pharmacy records. Convenience store video. Forged checks. Trent's confession, read word for word. Karen tried to play innocent. The prosecutor wasn't buying. Jolene, under oath, finally spoke. Karen went into my room that morning, to borrow a hair tie. Came out empty-handed. 2 days earlier, overheard her on the phone with Trent. Everything is in place. Then she laughed. Dad testified, voice cracking. I trusted her. She was my firstborn. Always responsible. Judge Patricia Morrison cut through like a blade. Trust is not an excuse for negligence. You abandoned your child. You chose the comfortable lie over your daughter. Karen's plea deal. Fraud, theft, false statements, child endangerment. 2 years suspended. 5 years probation. 200 hours community service. Full restitution. Permanent restraining order. Felony record forever. Dad lost all guardianship rights. Ordered to pay my therapy and college expenses. Community turned its back. Jolene filed for divorce 6 weeks later. The judge looked at me last. Miss Walls, you've shown extraordinary resilience. Full permanent custody to Dorothy Reeves. Your future is yours now. I just said, thank you. Dad tried one last approach outside the courthouse. Grandma shut it down cold. We walked away into warm March sunshine. I didn't look back. 13 years later, October 2024, a letter arrived. Dad, Maple Grove Care Center. Stroke 2 years ago. Jolene gone. House sold. Nothing left. Karen came to visit. He refused to see her. He only wanted to see me. To say sorry in person before he died. I went. Not for him. For me. He cried when I walked in. Apologized over and over, words stumbling from the stroke. I let him finish. Then I spoke. I forgive you, but understand what that means. I'm not forgetting. I'm choosing to stop carrying the anger. You chose the comfortable lie because Karen made you feel good about yourself, and I reminded you of everything you lost when Mom died. I built my whole life without you. College, career, a man who would never throw me out in the rain. I'm happy, but you live with what you did. That's your burden now. I stayed 20 more minutes. Told him safe things, job, apartment, Colin. When I left, a nurse stopped me. Your sister came last week. He wouldn't see her. Said he couldn't look at her without remembering what she made him do. Something settled in my chest. Not forgiveness, I'd already given that. Completion. The last page finally turning. I walked out into October sunshine. Same month. Different life. 13 years ago October meant betrayal and hypothermia. Now it means falling leaves, pumpkin spice, and the anniversary of when I truly began. Some storms don't destroy you. They redirect you. That October night I lost a house. I found my home. I lost a father who didn't deserve me. I found a grandmother who did. I lost a sister who never loved me. I found myself. Colin was waiting when I got back to Boston. Takeout. Bad movie. Patient arms. How'd it go? I think I'm finally done, I told him. I think I can let it go now. Next spring we're getting married at Grandma's house. Small. Warm. Meatloaf definitely on the menu. And somewhere out there, Karen is working nights, wondering where it all went wrong. Dad sits alone with his regrets. Jolene pretends we never existed. But me? I'm in Boston. I earned this life. I chose this happiness, and yes, I finally framed that band poster. The one I never got to buy back then. Some things really are worth waiting for. Thanks for listening. More stories are waiting. Click one now. See you in the next one.